Welcome to the Journeyman Cave, a podcast where we meet and chat with some of boxing's most seasoned road warriors, hosted by Mark Shakespeare and Chris Scarfe.
Welcome back to the Journeyman Cave, everybody, for round 34. With me, as always, Mr. Mark Shakespeare. How are we doing?
Good, thanks, mate. Yourself?
Yes, always good. We recently had, well, about a month ago, we had Andrew Paddy Patterson in, and we spoke at length about his, was it a British Masters title fight with Steve Spence?
Battle of the Road Warriors, yeah.
Yeah, so have a guess who we've got in this week?
We have. We've got Mr. Steve Spence himself, mate.
It was brilliant.
He was a great guy, wasn't he? And again, some good advertising for me and you in Barnsley Tourist Prison Ball, wasn't it, mate? Come on, tell us.
Well, we always offer, if people as guests come, we always say, do you want to go for a drink after? Do you need to get off? Most of the time, people have got lives and families, so they'll get straight off. But Steve, more than happy to come for a pint with us. And it were miserable that day, weren't it?
Yeah.
We got to the studio and it had been raining, and we came out of the studio. It were absolutely siling it down, weren't it? So we got sat and had a drink, and Steve was sort of talking himself into staying, weren't he? We're like, I might get an hotel. And I said, well, there's, Premier Inn just up the road. There are other hotel available in the area, but yeah, Premier Inn. So he basically booked himself in for that night, and we took him out for a few drinks around town.
He did, and he enjoyed himself, didn't he, mate?
I hope so.
He said to me he loved it.
Brilliant. Well, we took him to watch boxing and in one at venues and what have you. So, and I think he was still going when I left, to be fair. And we've been out since 4 o'clock. So, yeah, it were good fun. It were good value with Steve. In fact, you know what? At any point that night when we were sat with him talking, I almost wish I'd whipped my phone out and pressed record, because we could have got another episode out of him, couldn't we? Easily. Other stories that he was remembering and telling and talking about boxing in general. And it was just fantastic. And as you'll see with this episode. But just quickly before we start, we're going to mention this every episode. I'll do it quickly. If you're struggling, if you're feeling a bit down, if you need someone to talk to, remember that there's Andy's Man Club group. They've got groups all over the country. They are there for you. You're welcome to go along there every Monday night, apart from bank holidays, I think.
Yes.
Go and sit down and talk at length. Go and sit down and don't talk at all. But if you look in the description notes of this episode, there will be a link. Find your nearest group. Get yourself along. You are definitely not alone, and that's what they're there for. So, having said all that, let's go and speak to Steve Spence. I saw you pulled Paddy up on his weight comment.
Yeah, well, I actually weighed in at 11 stone, I think about 3 ounces. What I do is I didn't skip off, I just went for a piss and that was it. I made the weight piece of piss.
Right.
Yeah, easy.
We might as well start on that fight, haven't we? I mean, obviously we're halfway through your career, but it must have been a big thing for you, that, Steve, winning that Masters.
Well, it was the world title.
Yeah.
It was my world title. And so it was John Pegg who said, look, we're going to get you set up. And Carl said, yeah, Battle of the Road Warriors. And I thought, belt. And at the time, I'd moved down to Aylesbury, but the kids and the missus were in Scunthorpe. So rather than me on the piss all the time, I had nothing to do. So I was running to the gym. I had a trainer, Michael Graham, at the time, and I'd boxed his son Nathan about a year or two before. And I was just walking down from Aylesbury, and Nathan, what are you doing? I saw Olivia now. He said, get my dad to come train you. Are you still fighting? I said, yeah. So his dad started training me for that, and he absolutely was an animal. I mean, Nathan never worked. I was a brickie, but Nathan didn't work. So he absolutely killed him every night.
Right.
And so he got me in unbelievable shape. I was running to the gym, training an hour and a half, running back. I was laying bricks in the day. I was in absolute phenomenal shape for it. So there was nothing that was going to stop me losing that fight. Like I say, I was ready. But Paddy, I'd seen him box a few times. I've seen him, and he never, ever stopped. You could hit him in the kitchen sink and he kept coming. And I thought, fucking hell. And then, like I say, he was an odd carrier. I told you, didn't I? So I said, I watch him all day at work. I know how fit and how strong they are. So I thought, he's not going to get out of there. So I had to make myself ready for 10. And there was a little spell in the 6th round. I thought I could have stopped him, but I was that worried that I was going to run out of steam. I just went back to the boxing. But for that fight, I was sparring with Nathan Graham, who's a pro. I think he went on to fight for the area title, but he was as sharp as you get. And me and him used to have 6 rounds at a time in that gym. And it was like, people paid to watch. It was like a war every time. But he was sharp, really sharp. So then when I got in with Paddy, like, it was just a different, because he was more of a scrapper, wasn't he? Mm-hmm. So they got in with this kid who's normally been licking me up in the week, sharp. And I've just felt comfortable. Peg said to me, what happened to you in there? He said, you went Floyd Mayweather on us. He was expecting me to come for a scrap, and I just bang, bang, move, slip, just relaxed. I boxed really well for that. I surprised myself. But I knew Paddy in that 10th round. I remember looking over to his corner, and I thought, God, when he comes out here, he's going to chuck everything he's got. So we had a little thing. I think I hit him with a right hand, left up right hand, and then the ref just jumped straight in. And then everything, the whole training camp I'd had before that flashed from my eyes in that second when I saw him grab hold of him. And it felt, all the pain and I'd been through it just went away in a second. But I've never felt a feeling like it. I mean, my birthday was 3 days before, and I sat there, tears running down my face, couldn't even have a drink. I had a drink of water and a chicken and broccoli, and I thought, what am I doing this for? So I remember my birthday, I'm sat here with no kids, no one's here, and then it all flashed, boom, and it was all worth it. The second I saw him grab hold of him, like, wave it off, yeah, brilliant.
Defended it as well, didn't you?
Yeah, I went to Lincoln after that, because one of Carl's fighters, I believe he was going to fight Steve Swinburne. He was going to fight for the Midlands, or he wanted to fight for the Midlands, but he needed a 10-rounder first. So Carl said, look, I'll put you against him on his own show. You can fight him. And I said, yeah, all right. So he paid me good money. And again, I knew he wanted a puncher. I think he was 8-0 at the time, but he wanted a puncher. And that was my world title. Nobody was taking that off me. So again, I made myself into an absolute animal, or Michael Graham did. And the plan was, don't use any energy for 7 rounds, because you're not going to outbox this kid. Try a little bit, but I couldn't outbox him. He was a better boxer than me. So the whole plan was just keep your energy. Round 6 or 7 will come on a bit strong. And I think I lost every round going up into it, just letting him work away. And he hit me with a good combination at the end of the 6th. And I just stuck my tongue out at him and laughed at him as the bell went. And he chucked his hands down and he looked, like, Jesus Christ, what deflated. Do I have to do here? Yeah, deflated. And I went back in the corner, and the trainer just said, right, go knock him out, chuck everything at him. So I went around, and I think he hit me with a right hand. I took it, went to the side, left up right around the back of the ear, just boom, straight down, got back up. You could see his eyes, he couldn't see where he was. But if he didn't go then, he would have gone, because I was fresh as a daisy. I hadn't used no energy for 7 rounds. I was ready to go to absolute war. And I'd been there and done it with all my other fights. I've been the other way around getting it. And there's nothing worse. Your heart breaks. And you've got to pretend it doesn't. But it does. And because I knew that, I thought, we've got 3 rounds left of this. It's not an issue. I was always getting him out of there for that belt. It was staying with me.
Well, that's the thing as well, isn't it? It's one thing winning the title. But like we spoke about earlier, Steve, some people say it can be a bit of a fluke. But what you did, you went on and defended it against an 8-0 kid.
I won it against another journeyman. So that wasn't good enough for me, because no matter, people on the outside of boxing, they don't know Paddy, how hard he is, how strong he is. So they just look at the record, oh, well. And I had that in the brain. So then when I boxed this Swinburne, who was 8-0, I thought, well, when I beat him, they can't say nothing. And that's when I went and did. Then I vacated it to fight for the Midlands. So, and I lost a little bit of heart when I vacated it, but then that was my world title. Obviously, the Midlands were in good as well.
Good achievement, that, mate. Not only to win it, but also to defend it against a good 8-0 guy at the time as well.
That was probably my highlight, when I defended it against an 8-0, to be honest.
And his head's made of granite, He's nailed on for cutting him and that, hasn't he, mate?
Yeah, I've cut a lot of people. I think the most damage I ever caused people is cutting them with my head, or breaking their hands on my head. There's a few come up to me and told me they broke their hands on my head.
There's no marks there, is there? I always look when I see him and I think, can I see a scar?
My nose is straight and out when I started boxing. I think football, it went to the side. Gradually over the right hands of the years, it straightened it out. So
we'll go back to the beginning then, Steve. Obviously, we had to get him with that Masters, mate, because it's a big achievement. You should be proud of that. So Scarfe usually asks this question, but I'll ask it. So how'd you get into it then, mate? What made you get into it?
Well, I was 14.5 stone, 17 years old, loved boxing, fat. And a boxing gym just opened around the corner for me, and I was skipping in my drive. And it was my mate's dad, Neil Leach. He run the amateur club. He was a pro from Scunthorpe. Good fit as hell. I remember him running up and down the field as a kid. Always running he was. And he said, get down here and join the gym. So I went down and did this big hill run. Ran halfway up it, collapsed. All the lads from the gym were up and down or having a chat. And then I just loved the fitness. 6 months later, I'm flying up and down this hill. I just did it for the fitness, really. And then he says, do you want to fight? Petrified, didn't really want to fight. I said, yeah, go on then. So I had about, I think it was 12 amateurs, won 8 of them. Won a good kid towards the end. And I started to enjoy it. And then it was Jody Meikle, actually. Me and him was going on a Saturday with one of his mates called Alan Ball. He was getting one-to-ones from Isham Pickering at the time. And I think he didn't have his belts then, but he was just training him for one-to-ones and stuff like that. And we went over there, and he said he wanted to start taking a few journeymen out. He wanted to know he said, oh, do you want to turn over? And I was like, and I think it was a recession at the time, just it. Skin, not a lot of work about. And I said, yeah. So I just did it for the money. And Isham trained me for a couple of fights. And then, I just carried on doing it for the money, really.
So like you said, mate, so we turned over with 41 fights in total, mate. It's not bad.
Yeah. We
Do you think they're going back to make it 50? I think we're talking about.
I don't know, mate. If it does, it won't be in the same circumstances as the last time. But it just went really quickly. Cardo seemed to get me a load of fights, like all the time. And like John Pegg, good mates with him, he was a matchmaker. I got on well with him. He'd always ring up for me and stuff. And I remember I think I had 5 fights in 5 weeks once, something like that.
Yeah, two good men there as well, Carl.
Oh, the best.
And John as well.
It's a ruthless game, all about money. But them two, they've got hearts of gold, they have. Yeah.
And like you said, mate, not a bad little record. Like I said, 41 fights, which ended with 4 wins, 33 losses and 4 draws.
Yeah.
4 draws on there, mate.
Yeah, I mean, every one of them was a win. You say some of them won. There was. I remember feeling, I know when I get beat. You know when you're in there, you get beat. They were all wins. There was a couple that I should have got draws on, I should imagine. But it all depended if I was up for it, what weight I was. If I got rang up and I was fat, there's not many over there on 11-4 because they're all big lads. You don't go there to lose personally, but they've had a 12-week camp. The fit, sometimes you go, you're not up for it, and you're like, ooh. And other times, you are up for it. You're ready for a fight. Like, they do something to you. If you get there, I remember once I had a fight in Sheffield, and I had 2 lads doing my corner. One was Jimmy Harrington, and he was in the back, I think. And there was another guy, and he had a fighter from Sheffield on, and Card asked him to do my corner, and he's getting me all in the changing rooms and that, and I've just gone there as normal. And he said, I don't have losers in my corner, you know. I thought, fucking hell, puts a bit of pressure on me.
Yeah.
So I've gone out and I felt like a winner in there, the way he's padding me up and that, and I've gone out and got a draw. So it's all down to the mentality that you will go in with.
You were a little bit different. You might be a bit like a Jay Cosgood of this day, who was going around now. He's same as you. He trained himself a lot, and that's what you did, didn't you?
Yeah, well, in Scunthorpe at the time, there was nothing, no pro gyms. I used to train at my amateur gym. The nearest place was Grimsby, I think, and I trained there for a little bit, but I want to be at home when the kids come home, and I'd want to be with them, and they all want to train at 5 o'clock. So I'd do it for a month, and then I wouldn't want to sacrifice seeing the kids. So I used to train myself at about 7, 8 o'clock when they've gone to bed. And there's a couple of times in my career, I think I went over to Grimsby with that Sean and trained with Kev Hooper, and I went out and got a draw when I had a fight there, and I got a win as well when they was training me. Another lad decided to train me. Can you remember Jim Betts from Scunthorpe?
Yeah.
Pro. I got in touch with him and he started training me about 8 o'clock. He'd make me run 6 mile. We'd run 6 mile together, and then he'd have me in the gym doing the pads for an hour. And I went out and got a draw against a real good kid at the time, Simon Jenkinson. You know his brother Chris?
Yeah.
He went on the road. Well, Simon was a good lad and all.
Yeah.
And I got a draw with him on his debut. And I remember he went on to box Malin over a 6th rounder, and Cal came straight up to me after the fight and said, fucking hell, you did well with getting a draw against him. He's a good kid. So I did have it. I had it in me if I could switch on, but it was for the money. And I should have been a welterweight.
Yeah.
But I never got to the weight because I like my drink, I like my lifestyle, and I never took it as serious as I should until later on. Even when I fought for that, again, defended the belt, and I fought for Midlands, Frank Greaves, who was my trainer at the time, because when I moved down to Aylesbury, I used to go train with him. He said, grabbing my love handles on the scales about 10 minutes before, he said, you're lazy, you should make welter. And I said, he's right. You know what I mean? I should have, because I was big welter. But
you were big.
Big at welter, yeah.
But what about Kevin Hooper then, mate? We'll give him a shout out, Kevin, because we know you listen to just Kev. Good little fighter, wasn't he, Kevin?
Yeah, good lad. Well, he was the main man in the gym, wasn't he?
He was.
He won everything, really, that they put him on. He was nice, lovely little boxer. And working with him as well, it sharpens you up. Do you know what I mean? Sparring with him, he's sharp as anything. Yeah, he's a good lad. I think I was with him on and off training at his gym for about a year, I think. Yes, we've got on well.
Yeah, good little fighter, Kevin. I still enjoy watching him. He ruined us, didn't Barnsley, wager. Gets mentioned a few times.
Yeah, well, I boxed on his undercard once in Cleethorpes. I boxed, twice actually. Once I boxed Joel Hay, about 3 days' notice or 2 days' notice. And then once I boxed that Matthew Seawright, the only time I was ever in the home corner. That was when Colwell was managing me. He managed me for 2 fights because he basically said, look, you're fat. You're not a light middle, you're a welter. And if you want me to manage you, and one of my mates was good mates with him at the time, he said, you get to welter. And I think I had 2 fights while he was managing me, and I won and drew because I was at the right weight sort of thing. And then it was just too hard with work and that, so I went back with Carl because I knew I'd get the fights, and I knew I couldn't keep the weight off, and Dave wouldn't be interested in matching me while I was heavy. So, you know what I mean, fair play.
How did you find Seawright?
Just spoiler. I've seen him fights hundreds of times. Like, he's always been in the away corner, and he's big. He looks big for his size, but he just kept roughing me up, grabbing hold of me. It was more frustrating fighting than it was anything else. But he's as tough as they come as well, isn't he? Oh, wow. He wouldn't have gone anywhere. But,
yeah, he's tough as old boots, and he's smart.
Yeah,
have that many fights.
I've got him on my Facebook now. I think he's doing the weights and that now, or he's
I think so.
Doing that. It's just what we all do. The fighters, we need to substitute it with something. There's no other way around it. When you're a fighter and you stop fighting, we're all mental in some way or other. Else, why would you go for 30 or something fights, rang up with a week's notice with somebody who's trained for you for 12 weeks to get in a ring with them, knowing you're going to be punching each other for 4 rounds? You've got to be unhinged in some way or other. And then when you lose that, you've got 2 options, because you're not domesticated, and you can't get back domesticated when you're like us. You can be happy a little bit, but you've got that demon on your shoulder, and it's like we're chasing feelings, whether it's fear or we go on alcohol. I've been often I used to get smashed all the time because you get a buzz from the alcohol. It's like you need something, and that fear, even waiting in the change rooms and the fear of fighting, you're getting something out of it. And when you lose that, that's why a lot of lads, I see a lot of lads drink a lot, or they need to marathons, or, do you know what I mean? They need to substitute with something else. You ain't got anything. You've got that hole, and you can't fill it with nothing except for competing against yourself. That's what I've found anyway. I tried filling it with drinking that. The only thing that does it is pushing yourself and competing with yourself. So that's why I started jiu-jitsu, to start doing that. Like
Matt said exactly the same. He went through a little stage when he finished, and he says, getting into the weightlifting. Paul Royston said that he had a big gap, big hole to fill, and he also said that Matt got him in. Just seeing Matt in that shape,
I did.
Got him into and like you say, a bit like a Jason Ball trying also us.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
I think he came from MMA. I boxed on a couple of same shows with him. He was managed by Carl. God, he was an hard man. No, he was. But yeah, you just need to. You need to compete, I think. Once you've got past that level of fighting, you get these lads who are 4-0, and I respect them for doing the training camp, because that, to me, is a thing in itself, cutting your life off for 12 weeks. But in saying that, you're fighting somebody who's coming up, who's going there like I used to be, who knows they're not going to win. There's nothing into that. As soon as you fight somebody who wants to fight you back, I respect you for that and all. I said, brilliant, do you know what I mean? But when you get past a certain level as a fighter, you like to say, you can't ever leave it then. You've got to, your life's never the same. You've got to compensate it with something else.
And it sounds like, from what we've been talking about, mate, you might be coming back.
Well, I don't know about coming back. I'm going to lose weight. I'm not too heavy now. I've always kept in shape, but I'd say I'm 3 stone over what I used to fight at. But then you get some of these fighters that are in the corner, they're blown up like that in a couple of months. Yeah. So I'm going to compete again, whether it's going to be jiu-jitsu. I'd like to have a couple of MMA, maybe BKB. But if I fall back in love with it, I mean, I quit because I'd done it for years. You know, you fall out of love with something. But if I fall back in love with it, I'd try to get the licence back, no problem.
I think we're going to see you in some shape or form, mate, in future.
I think so, mate, because like I say, I'm a lot older now. Not a lot older, but a lot more. I was a young kid then. I was in my young 20s. And as much as tough, you haven't got your man strength. You ain't got your sensible head on. Do you know what I mean? It's a lot different.
No, you learn, unfortunately, as you get older, don't you? And it's too late at times sometimes.
Yeah,
but you've still got time on your hands,
yeah,
mate.
I'm not young 36 in the face, but I am in the body. I ain't got no injuries or out like that.
Oh, you've still got a lot to give, mate. And let's see how it goes in for you, mate. But we touched on this earlier, mate. I mean, you were a tough one, Steve. But like you said, you got stopped only 4 times in them 41 fights. And what I found quite interesting to me is obviously you were very strong and you learnt. I can tell you learnt because you were stopped 3 times in your first 5 fights, weren't you? So that just proves after that how much you've matured and how much you'd learned in the game quickly. Yeah, that's the word,
matured, yeah.
And I'm going to start off with your debut, mate. Lost by a KO to Sam Padgett.
Yeah, well, I mean, I had a camp for that. This was going to be my turning point. I mean, Ishan trained me. We had a good camp. I think I had breakfast on the day at 11:02, and I had breakfast on the day.
Wow.
I was in great shape. I was going there to win 100%. There's no turning up for the numbers. I was real ready. And first 2 rounds, he'd nicked. The third one, all over him. Batted him all over him. And I just remember it was the last round, and it gassed out. And I still had an engine on me. I could have done another 3 because someone told me a long time ago, he's a footballer, actually, but before I started, he said, the hardest thing when you're playing against somebody is someone with an engine who will not stop running. So I made sure I had the biggest engine. And when I was an amateur, I used to get knocked about with people with a bigger engine than me. It's the worst thing in the world. So I made sure I had the engine. Anyway, he didn't have a lot left in him. And the ref said to him, if you hold on again, I'm stopping it. And I remember flying in with a stupid right hand, and I woke up in the changing rooms. And that was it, yeah. Straight out. He just threw an uppercut.
It were a proper one then?
Yeah, proper uppercut. I think I banged my head again on the canvas as I've gone down. I was out for about 30 seconds or something like that. It was a big... Yeah. I lost I couldn't remember the next 2 hours after that. That's the only time I've ever been hit like it, but I don't think he ever boxed again after that.
No. That's what I'm going to say.
Yeah. I mauled him. Him the third. 4th, I was all over him. I really thought I was going to win my debut by stoppage. And then after that, reality, because I couldn't sell tickets. And Carl said to me, look, it's on the road or that's it, really. Do you know what I mean? So, and I wanted money.
Like you said at the time as well.
Yeah,
time were tough, weren't they?
Yeah.
And you were good at what you did, mate. But we'll move on from that. And we're going to go for your first win by TKO.
Yeah, that is a cut. Now, I don't think it was a cut on my head. And I still can't really remember because even looking back at the video, you can't see. But the lad, I felt sorry for the lad, really, because he'd been in the amateurs in the finals and he got caught with a cut and he got stopped. And then on his debut, he did as well. And I don't know if it was an head or an elbow or what, like. But, yeah.
Mark Keaton, wasn't it? Keaton, wasn't it?
Mark Kettner, that's it, yeah. I mean, he was, it's probably winning the fight, I think. He was a good lad. But it was just one of them things for him.
So it was stopped on a cut then, that one?
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't anything else for that. I can't remember what my first draw was.
We'll come to that in a bit. Shh, be quiet. You're going too far ahead. We've got that down, Steve. We'll not forget you. I never forget a win or a draw, you know, mate. They're always on my card for you. But you went in with a kid who I thought were quite good after that. You lost, says TKO again here, but I saw him a couple of times fight. Martin Welsh. What do you reckon to him?
Yeah, well, yeah, he was brilliant. Yeah. Down in York Hall, fantastic. Again, I wasn't really up for it because he couldn't punch, but he was a lovely boxer, really nice boxer. And he hit me with a flurry. I'd got a DVD, he hit me with a flurry of about 4 or 5 shots. And I don't know, it was really early in my career. I didn't really know. I just froze for a minute, a couple of seconds, and then you can't do that. And then that's it, the ref just waved it off. Wasn't hurting anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I thought you were decent. I saw him a couple of times. Fight.
He was a lovely boxer, yeah.
Yeah, and you're always good to watch. It didn't get any easy after that, mate, did it? We went in Nav Mansouri, didn't we, as well?
Yeah, well, I fucked up there, really, because we weighed in the day before, and Carl bollocked me for that, because like I say, one of my good mates, he was mates with Dave. He said, I'll bring him forward, because it was a big show, bring him the day before if you want. So we've done that. I thought, yeah, that'd be better. I can have something to eat. And then the next day, Carl said to me, he's massive. Absolutely massive. Why did you do that? But you can't, there's nothing on that. He was brilliant. I remember exactly what he did. He faked a jab to the body. He hit me in the body. Then he faked a jab to the body, right hand straight over, broke my nose. I remember it. And that's the thing with a lot of these fighters. I remember how they hurt me, because I didn't get hurt that often. So I remembered how they did it. And that's what I used later on when I was fighting for belts. So I'd use that against it. But yeah, he was strong, good, lovely boxer. He went on to be the English champion, didn't he?
Yes, he did. But yeah, there were 2 good, tough fights in a row. Well, around that time, you had, mate. But after that, mate, we went on a good run.
And just before we do that, though, what's the mentality at this point then when you've lost a few in your first few fights?
Well, I reckon this is when my old man, I think my old man was still alive then. I think he said to me, look, I don't know if this boxing game's for you, mate. And he said, you're just not tough enough for it. And I thought, and then he died it wasn't long after he died, about a month after that with cancer and that. And I remember, you're lost, aren't you? You're lost. And I thought, I need something. And I thought, right, well, I'll show him then. So I chucked everything into it. And I thought from then on, my mentality from then on was, there's no freezing. If I'm dying before you fucking stop me again. I'm getting carried out of there. Do you know what I mean? It's not happening. Because I know I was going for losses all the time. But psychologically, as a man, it affects you. So you've got to have a new goal in your head. Because you're going and losing. You know what I mean? It'll do you in. So my goal was, as long as I march forward and they give me everything, and then they back off after a combo. If they hit me with a combo and they back off the self, I've won it psychologically, and then I'll just do what I need to do. And that's what I did with them all. They hit me with everything, I marched forward, they backed off. So you get little wins, you've got to do that. But I'm just nuts. I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you what, mate, you most certainly worked, because not many stopped you after that, did they?
I don't know, it was good 30 fights, I think, before I got stopped after that, yeah. Oh. And I boxed some big lads and all in there.
You did box some big lads, mate. But let's go back to your little nice run I saw here, mate, because you went on to a win and 2 draws, mate.
Well, that was when I had, like I said, I had a trainer then.
Yeah, and you said, didn't you, before that when you had a trainer, you got some decent results, didn't you?
Because I got my weight down.
Yeah.
They got my weight down. I got sparring. That's it. When you're training your own at 8 o'clock, it's me running it in a bag. When I had a trainer, I'm sparring people who are sharp. I'm learning off them. You gel with them. So whenever I had a trainer, I did well, and that was the little run I had.
Because like in that run you had, we mentioned Matt C, right? But you had Joe Catchpole, didn't you? You fought him twice, didn't you?
Yeah, well, the first time, that was at Magna. I thought I battered him. I was just mauling him. He didn't want to know. I got a draw for that. Yeah, one of the best things about that fight actually was Ryan Rhodes was ringside, and I used to love him as a kid. Do you know what I mean? He was one of my hero things, like, and he was ringside, and he said, "Well done, Steve." I remember that was the best thing I liked from the fight. I liked that better than the draw. But then Seawright came after. Catchpole came up to me afterwards and said, "Oh, I didn't make the weight very well. I wasn't very good. We'll do it again." I said, "Yeah, we'll do it again. Whatever."
Yeah, and you won your own points on that second time.
Yeah, but he didn't hit me with anything hard. I think I got him with a nice body shot. I just chased him about. The whole ring. He's a good little boxer, but he wouldn't have done that over 10.
No.
And I was never that. I was sharp sometimes if I wanted to be, but as a 10-round fighter, I mean, there's a lot of people on them records. If I'd fought them over 10 rounds, I'd have beat them. And vice versa. I wouldn't. If I fought the geezers over 10 rounds that I'd won over 3, I'd have probably lost. I'm a 10-round fighter. I just used to warm up around 6. I don't know.
Yeah. It's just,
yeah.
They're funny on Ian, Steve, want that, mate?
Yeah.
But, and obviously, we touched on it earlier as well. You had a good draw against Simon Jenkinson at 1-0.
Yeah, no, he was good at his debut.
Yeah.
Carl thought I'd won that. I thought I could have nicked it. If it was any other show, I'd maybe nicked it, but he was good. He went on to do well in his career. He was known as a good, strong fighter. He wasn't a journeyman. He was a bit better like Chris. I wouldn't class his brother Chris as a journeyman either.
Me neither.
I'd class him as a dangerman.
Yeah.
Because they never came to lose. And you do get some people who we class as journeymen, but they're not. They're dangermen. They don't come to lose. And it gets thrown around a lot, especially even on these Sky shows, like, oh yeah, he's been a bit of a journeyman. Well, because he's got 10 losses. He's not a journeyman. He's coming to win.
There still is some that'll come to win, mate.
Yeah.
And it's good to see. And them 2 brothers were definitely 2 of them, mate. So, but I thought it was a good draw, that, mate. I tick that.
Yeah. Well, Carl said, like I said, I mentioned earlier, with Malin, he boxed Malin over 6 or 8 rounds. It might even have been for a belt. And Carl came running up to me afterwards straight away and said, "Look, you did well drawing against that kid, mate. He's a good kid." And he said to me before, Carl, because I used to go to the gym maybe once a month down to his gym. He'd take me on the pads. He said to me once, "Look, if you come train, Steve, I could probably do something with you. Do you know what I mean?" And I wouldn't do it because everyone used to want to train at the same time my kids were awake. So that was it. I just made the sacrifice.
Speaking of Malin, mate, you went in ring at Metrodome, didn't you?
Yeah, I did, yeah. And I'd sparred him a few times before that. I came over to Barnsley and sparred with him. He was a good lad, strong lad, athletic. Always backflipping about and that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He was a good lad. But we caught him once, I think, in sparring. I felt a good shot I caught him with, and I'd seen him box other people, and he rushed them. Or not particularly rushed them, but he was a little bit more enthusiastic than he was with me. He didn't go mad. Like, there was something, he gave me respect, I think. But yeah, that was a good fight. He won that pretty comfortably on points. He outboxed me like.
Was it a good turnout crowd that night?
Yeah, I think it was. It always was down when we boxed at Barnsley. It was all a sellout or near there, yeah. Yeah, he had good support.
But we'll go back a little bit before that, mate. And to me, this one always stands out for me because he was a character on the circuit and he was a good fighter. And he must have been big and all, Takaloo.
Yeah, well, bloody hell, I mean, that was a mismatch, wasn't it? You never have Spence from Scunthorpe with all losses boxing the former, was he WBO world champion?
Yeah.
I was at the zoo with my kids. And Carl, I just about took into an ice cream, and Carl said, do you want to box on Saturday at, where was it? Sheffield, wasn't it? On the Gavin McDonald undercard.
Doncaster, I think you fought him,
Doncaster it was, on the Gavin McDonald undercard. I said, yeah, I'll box. He said, do you want to know who it is? I went, if you want. Because that was my thing. It'd never say who I'm fighting. I wasn't bothered. Just get me in. And he said, it's Takaloo. I said, all right, yeah, sound. How much? He went, I don't. He was just about to put a big spiel of, I know it sounds like a mismatch. I said, I'm not bothered. How much? So he told me how much. It was good for 4-2. So it's probably what everyone else was getting for 6-3s.
I should hope you won, mate.
Yeah, and I come back after that first round, and Carl's gone bouncing around. He says, you can beat this guy, or you can get a result here. He's lost it. He's lost his sharpness. But he hit me with a razor shot. I got a bit lost in the headlights with it, you know what I mean? I'm boxing Takaloo. I'm boxing at Donny Dome. But I was sharper. Than him. But that's only because, obviously, he was getting older, wasn't he? But he hit me with a array of shots that I've never even thought of doing. But after that, I remembered what he hit me with. So I started doing it. He hit me with some lovely body shots, brought my hands down. Just the speed of his body shots were brilliant.
Did you learn a little bit then on that?
Yeah, I did, yeah, because he hit me with a combination I've never even been taught by any trainer before. It was a couple to the body. It was really unorthodox. Came round the back of the head, but then he was to the body again with the same hand. It was just, you're always normally right hand to the head, left hook to the body, and it wasn't. And it was good, really good.
I can imagine, because when I saw that, mate, I thought, I won't say a mismatch, because you know what I mean, that's doing you disrespect, but you know what I mean, at the time,
it
was way up there, wasn't it?
It was only because he was going in prize fighter.
Yeah.
But after that, me and him boxed, and he didn't end up going in prize fighter in the end. They ended up putting someone else in instead. I can't remember who it was now, but yeah, he didn't go in it. That was it. Retired him.
Keep that one, mate. That's yours. So then after that as well, mate, I did message him actually. We saw him a few weeks ago. You went in with Lee Murter, didn't you? He said passed on the best.
Did he? Yeah, but you know what? I saw him boxing on a Dave Colwell show. It was at 12 stone. And I watched him and I thought, he looks good. He looks a good lad, like. And then he'd come down in weight about 11.2. And I drove there to the venue. I was meant to meet Carl from Scunthorpe, but I got the wrong services and he'd already gone. So I've drove all the way to Leeds, got there.
Irish Centre, wasn't it? That's not far from where my wife lives, about 5 or 10 minutes away.
Yeah, we boxed there. And do you know what? I enjoyed that fight. That Carl said to me, we got quite into it. He could punch a bit. He could box a bit. Yeah, he was good. He had good turnout crowd. But Carl said to me, like, you're enjoying this now, aren't you? Because I had a smile on my face. I was loose. I don't know what it is. Some fights you enjoy. You know what I mean? You're having a little move around. You're getting it still. But he said you're having fun out there. And I was. I enjoyed the fight. I mean, he can bang and he was a nice boxer. But I was getting a little bit of hitting him as well. Because he don't run away. Do you know what I mean? He stands there for you. So, yeah, it was a good fight. I liked it. I met him. When did I meet him? I met him a couple of years ago at a charity event. He was in the corner. I had a bit of a chinwag with him. He's a nice lad. Does a lot for boxing.
Big Celtic man, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Same as me, yeah.
Yes, I thought he was. He said mention that.
Yeah.
Well, we like Rangers, don't we, Scarfe?
Yeah, well, my best mate's Rangers, but my old boxing coach, the first ever one, that Neil I spoke about, he was Celtic, and I hung about with his sons. So I got groomed in. So,
yeah, he said that. He said a big Celtic lad like me he was. But he said at that time he were really pumped and he were on his way. He wanted the Irish title.
Yeah, and he was like I say, he used to fight from anywhere from. I'm sure he was near 12 stone. He used to fight, but yeah, I think he was 11.2 or 11.4 for that. He was in good shape.
Yeah, and he's doing all right now.
Is he?
And he got the Irish title, didn't he?
Just want to put on record, the only thing I give a crap about with Rangers and Celtic is when I put my Yakis on betting.
Oh, well, what's the point of doing that? Because that's a typical bet for the, ain't it? 1 to 10 on or 1 to 20.
I say I won last night, didn't I?
That's why I get bankrupt and my missus takes me off at certain bet sites and this guy wins. I just traced a dream, mate, and it never happens. You can't win. You can't beat the bookie. But it didn't get any easier for you, mate, did it? Because I saw Takaloo, Lima to top fighters. And then what are you doing? Bradley Skeete now?
Yeah, I mean, I tell you what happened there. He was meant to fight Matt Skivens, is it? I think Matt Skivens. He was meant to fight him for Matt's 100th fight. And then what happened was Matt got called in to fight one of Carl's shows 2 weeks before, and so he did that instead for his 100th because I was there at the show when he got it. So then they put me in with Bradley Skeete, and he was good. I mean, you look at my record, and all the people who don't look at boxing, they go, "Oh, look at all your losses," but like the names you see, you don't get many people who fight that sort of people when they're fighting for titles. Yeah. That he was like fighting a ghost, Bradley Skeete. He was unbelievable. Yeah. He really was.
He gets a lot of praise as Bradley. I mean, there's a top journeyman going around at the minute, it might have been him, called Dale Arrowsmith. He's got his 100th coming up this month. Well, October, and he went in with Skeete, and Skeete stopped him. He said it was a different breed.
Skeete got me to a stage where I was scared to throw a jab because he was rocking back and coming back with a right hand over the top quicker than I could get my jab back. And I was in not bad shape, I don't think, when I fought him as well. But yeah, great lad he was.
Yeah, top fighter, wasn't he? British champion, and I think
a nice lad as well. You speak to him afterwards, you couldn't meet a nicer lad.
Yeah, a lot of people say that, and I thought he were a top fighter and he could have done a bit better. But it's just wait, I want it. But them 3 fights there, mate, in a row. Yeah. Well, not in a row, but being close. You know what I mean? Some quality, like you said, some quality fighters on that record there, mate.
The geezers who weren't too good, I'd get a draw with them or something like that. But I'm looking at my record the other month after we spoke, or the other week after we spoke, and there's not a lot of people on there who got losses. And the ones that are half and half or something, I draw with. They were all undefeated or debuting. It's like Tommy Langford. I mean, what a night he gave me. I think that was the night they told me and Paddy were going to, they told me about the fight. And I booked Tommy Langford on his debut, and he beat me from pillar to post. He was unbelievable. He was vicious. He was on me the whole round. He dropped me. He hit me with everything. I thought, God, he's going to do. He was at the time. I don't think I'd ever took a beating over 4 rounds like that, and I thought he was going to be unbelievable. I watched him on his fight after, and he was more placid coming back. I thought, what are you doing with me? He was unbelievable. I think a few people mentioned afterwards said, what a debut. You won't see a debut like it. It was unbelievable.
You should be proud of it. You mean to give his debut, mate?
He had, like I say, because he just told me and I'm sure that was the night me and Paddy did the face-to-face in the ring. So I had to put a good show up and be tough and that because you can't do a face-to-face in the ring with someone and then go get beat on someone by the debut. Yeah. So that was the mentality. And when I got that in my head, like I say, you'd have to carry me out by my boots. That's just what I was like.
Yeah. But like you said, I'm going to go on to someone who we, know quite well. Passed away, sadly, now. But he had a bit of a losing record, went and with them all. And what do you think to Mr. Lee Noble?
Well, I tell you, I haven't been hit like he hit me by many of them fighters on that record. He came in at Barnsley Metrodome when I had a boxing mat. He's a bit heavier than me. But he hit me with a shot and I thought, I don't want no part of that. So I just used my feet, plenty of feints. Every time he got near me, feint and moved out. Didn't want to know. Wrapped him up a lot, frustrated him. He couldn't say a lot because he used to do it week in, week out, but that guy could punch, And I think it was after that, didn't he? He went in, he fought the Masters against that lad from Rotherham, Dave
Fiddler.
Yeah. And I reckon it's all circumstantial in that, but I think he could have probably won an English title. Yeah. No, but he was a good lad.
He was very strong. A lot of people say he's strong. Like as I mentioned before, when he shook my hand and gripped me on purpose, and you don't realise how strong he is. Yeah, he never looked like that, but he was powerful. They said, and like I said, he did go in some good ones, mate, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He boxed a lot of good lads. Yeah, a lot. So he knew what the score was. Do you know what I mean? He did a lot. What I did with him to a lot of other people, and it's all about levels, isn't it? Yeah. And and he was too strong for me, so I just stayed away. I don't think he even got really hit a lot. Because he was just stalking me and I was just frustrated the life out of him.
But that's another good one to record, mate, plenty. But then I'm going to go to another one here, mate. We got a draw at Liverpool Olympia, didn't we, with Lyndon Newman?
Yeah, so that night, I think I'd been 2 weeks, Carl told me about that fight, and he'd knocked my mate out from the gym, Ryan Clark. Now, if you're knocking him out, this geezer must be out of punch, because not many people did him. Ryan was as tough as they come. I've seen Ryan get hit on the canvas on one of his last fights, and I think he was out, and his body was still jumping back up. He was... You're not knocking him out. Anyway, so he did knock him out, but they didn't know a lot about him at the time. They didn't know he was a swinger. So I've got 2 weeks of thinking, oh, God, what have I done? This is going to be a tough one. This is going to be a horrible one. And I've come in at about 11-7. He's coming at 11-1. And we've gone over with Steffi Balls in the changing room. That's when Jason Ball's fighting for the area. So anyway, they've come in and said, well, he says he don't want to fight you. He wants money off. I said, I'm the away fighter. Look at me. He's there, muscles on muscles, massive. He's had 8, I think he'd had 8 fights and knocked 6 of them out and lost 1 or drawn 1 or something silly like that. And I said, what do you mean? He's had a 12-week camp. I said, I'm fat, it's not muscle. No, they're taking 350 quid off you. I said, right, well, I'll come for the win then. Fuck you, take the money off me. Watch what happens now. And he just, I don't know what he did. He just kept trying to swing. I kept going, bam, bam, bam. I must have had good sparring before it. Bam, 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 slipping out. Did a number on him, really. Boxed really well. And they give me the draw, and I was that pumped. I kicked my gum shield out. It was on Box Nation as well, so I knew all my mates were watching. Kicked my gum shield out into the crowd. Started going around saying, I ain't no fucking journeyman. to all the people round in the, all the refs and everything, going like that at the cameras. But I'm mad at it. Yeah, and then I think I had 3 fights lined up. And as soon as I got that draw, they all cancelled. So I thought, well...
When you get them results, mate, that phone stops.
That didn't do no good for me, did it? I just lost $3,000 in a heartbeat.
But then you got another guy at Donny Dome, Mansour Wally, mate, didn't you? You got a draw there as well, which weren't a bad one.
Yeah, well, that's like I say. Carl put 2 other people in my corner then, and they're telling me while we're in the changing rooms, like, look, I've only had winners, I do, because he's got a lad on before me or after me who's a home lad. So then he's telling me, look, I only train winners. We're here for the win, lads. I'm bit of pressure on me. I thought, normally they pad you up a little bit, you pat you on your back and they send you out. You know, this guy was getting into it on the pads and I thought, well, I'll have a little go. I'll have a little go for him. And he was a good lad, but he was a swinger. I was all right against swingers because my timing, it was all right, really, for what I was as good at what I was good at. And every time he swung, I slipped back, bam, bam, hit him with a few. But I think that's, if I was the home fighter, I'd have got the win. But it was very close. It could have been a draw. It could have gone. But yeah, I didn't feel for a second I was losing that.
Well, like I said, mate, a good one, that, mate. Just obviously being away corner to get a draw there, mate.
And it's just what a difference is when you got someone in your court and say, yeah, go on, you're going to have this, you're going to have this. It's just, it all depends on your mentality I turned up with, I think.
Right, next thing I want to mention, mate, is, not many people will know him, but I watched this fight. I don't know what you'll think of him, but I'd like to know what you think of him. You went in with Craig Cunningham, didn't you?
Yeah.
What did you think?
He was good. Southpaw. Quite strong. Boxed a lot. Yeah, he was good. I mean, I kept trying to come forward. He's catching me. And he went on, he beat...
He beat Anthony Ogogo. I watched it. That's why I wanted to mention it. I remember that night.
Yeah, he was a good kid, he was. Like I say, strong. He could move around. He could box a little bit. He had his hands nice and relaxed. He was a good lad, but he was a nice lad and all. Like I say, a lot of the people I boxed, I don't think I boxed any idiots. No one afterwards who had like a problem with it. And bear in mind, I'd cut a lot of people with my head or whatever. I'd roughed them up, and I'd use loads of little tactics. If I'm having a tough fight, I'd rough them up. I mean, when I boxed Nathan Graham, he was too sharp for me, so I spat blood at him. Because I knew if I'd got them angry, they'd start twitching their hands and loading up. And that was one of my things. If they was boxing too nice, too quick, I'd rough them up or say something to them or spit out, not spit blood, but wipe my face on the shoulder or something to rile them up, and then they'd start loading up. So I knew a little bit, but he was a good lad, that Craig.
I thought he was very underrated, Yeah,
I mean, he went on to do well, didn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, as a lot of people on my record went on to do well and go for belts and stuff like that.
Yeah. And we'll go on to next to him, mate, as well. You went in with Smoking Joe Mullinder, didn't you, as well? English champion.
Well, yeah. And I reckon he knocked me out with an uppercut when I boxed him, and he woke me back up with a body shot.
Yeah?
I reckon.
That's interesting.
I remember I went black from an uppercut in the corner, and I'll have to look at my record, but I think if I got stopped in that, I wouldn't have been able to fight Paddy for the the Masters. I think it was within that time period. If I got stopped, I wouldn't have been able to do it. Something like that. Anyway, he hit me, woke me up with this body shot, and I just laughed at him. Beat him in my chest, and then he went back to his boxing like a lot of them did.
Yeah.
They hit you with some great shots, and if you make out as if you're not phased, they go back to the nice boxing, and that's something Carl taught me. When they've hit you everything, and you look at them like that in the face, they don't want to gas themselves out, so they go back to the nice boxing. And that's a bit what he did, but he was super strong. Really, really strong.
I never heard of that. Someone's knocked the out and then what, they back up again?
Well, I did. I saw black, nothing but black. And then all of a sudden I felt this lifting me back up with a body shot. And then I'm in the corner, took a few. I think the bell went after that. So, yeah, but I got through that one, but he was really strong. I'd say he's one of the top 5 strongest lads I've fought. Didn't want any part of that.
Mm-hmm. Who were your best?
Well, best lad I fought? I don't know, really. There was different attributes in all different people. Who's the best kid? Strongest. Either Lee Noble or him. Him. One of them two were the strongest.
And sharpish, would you say Skeets?
Either Skeete or there was a boxer, amateur Commonwealth gold medalist, and I can't remember his name now. He's a twin, and I boxed him in Leeds. He was like fighting a ghost and all. Couldn't land a glove on him. Unbelievable. Just moved off.
I like that one. A ghost.
Yeah.
Good in that.
Right.
It's a good way to describe.
Yeah, swinging, and they're there in front of you swinging. You're not hitting them, and he had great footwork. John Fain, I boxed him. He was a good lad. Yeah. He was a good, nice boxer, but he didn't have a lot of power. I boxed him on Box Nation. But yeah, he was a nice, tidy boxer. He was Frank Warren's fighter. But yeah, probably Skeete, to be fair. I'd give him the...
You give him the edge?
Yeah, I think I would, yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't have expected Mullender and Noble being the two for being the strongest. That's very good.
But yeah,
to know.
No, that's what it felt like. I mean, at the time, you don't know, do you? Some days you're up for it. Sometimes you're going to take on everything. Other days you're not up for it. See, your pain threshold changes with your mentality. But they were stand out. They were stand out for me where I thought, oh, that hurt. So I just stayed away from them. Like,
you do right, mate. But and then also we've touched on Tommy Langford. Obviously, good. Should be proud of that debut, mate. When he said, obviously, went on to the good things, did Tommy, didn't he?
Yeah, Knight was another nice lad as well.
Yeah. And then we had a points lost to John Fuchs and all, mate.
Yeah, that's in Barnsley again. Yeah. That was late notice. I cut him badly as well.
You cut a few, mate, with that head of yours.
Yeah, I cut him badly, and it was touch and go, and I think the doctor was umming and ahhing, but his coach and manager was like, oh, it's fine, do you know what I mean? Because it was his comeback, but he was another one, nice little tidy boxer, but he was too small, really. He was never, didn't bother me with his power, but what a nice boxer he was. Really nice, yeah.
So that's it. Been to Barnsley a few times, this guy, hasn't he?
Yeah, but I used to like boxing here.
Still good now, you know, mate. Still get some good shows on now, don't we? We Josh Whale coming through, but we'll go on to your next one, mate. We've talked about this, and a cracking fighter. Let's go on to Carruthers on the belt, mate.
Yeah, well, yeah, I loved it. I was up for it and all. Do you know what I mean? Even though I lost, I was well up for it. Midlands belt. That's like good for me to get to that. Yeah. And obviously, when I stopped Swinburne, I think I wanted a Midlands. Saying to Carl, get me a Midlands. Anyone else but Carruthers. If I'd got, I always wanted somebody who was a lovely boxer, but not a puncher. Yeah. Because in my head, they're not going to stand in the 10 rounds. I'll just relax for 6 and come on strong. I've got a better chance. So that's what I wanted. But there's no one about Carruthers. I honestly think anyone but Carruthers I'd have had a good chance. But at the time, he'd beat the English champion, Navid Mansouri. I think he drew with the British, if that's right. And he was just an animal, big. Remember at the weigh-in, he had to do run around the lake or the reservoir, what it was. I stood next to him and he was too big. And that's when Frank said to me, look, you're a welterweight, mate. Look at the size of him to you, pulling on my fat when I'm getting on the scales. He said, you're a welterweight. So there's not a lot I could do. Very similar to my fight with Paddy. When he hit me, it bounced off me. So I respected his power, but it bounced off me. Whereas Carruthers, that's like it was the opposite way around. I could hit him, and I'd seen him box at super middle, people a lot bigger and tougher than me, and he could handle it. And what a lovely boxer he was as well. His timing and that, he was a great boxer. I think he could have gone on to win the English, but obviously didn't. I think he got a bad cut in one of his next fights against Wellborn. But I think that's another fighter he could have gone and won the English.
Did you ever see Out a Terrier out now? Or?
No, I did have him on my Facebook, but I hadn't seen out on my Facebook. It changes, doesn't it, with Facebook if you don't like certain stuff that come off there. But I hadn't heard from him for a long time. I know he said he was going to get into BKB. I don't know if he ever did or not.
He were a tough, I don't swear much, but he were a tough fucker, what Terry.
Yeah, he was another one. Like people
God.
say journeyman. He wasn't a journeyman. He was a dangerman. When he turned up and wanted it, then he'd give anyone in England a good fight. If he's ready, do you know what I mean? Especially if he's fit and that.
And we mentioned it a few times, like he says, a lot of people thought he got a result against Eubank as well, didn't they?
Yeah, I watched that. I thought he could have got the draw. I don't think he won it, but I thought he could have got the draw with it. Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, I can watch it on Channel 5 and it was a barn brawl of that, but...
Yeah, I did. And he did more work. He was roughing him up. Yeah, so I thought he got the draw for that. But that was, you know what I mean? That was Terry. He could fight. He was
certainly
good.
what a danger man, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was, yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, I think he could have done better in, you know what I mean, in different circumstances, couldn't he?
Yeah, that's it. No one knows what's going behind in life and closed doors. I mean, I was part of my career. I thought when I lost against Covers, I was going to go to welterweight. That's it. Me and Frank said we'll go to welterweight and we'll carry on. Split with the ex-wife and it's game over, isn't it? It depends. You don't know what's going on.
Yeah, things change, mate, isn't it? It's quite tough, that. Like, obviously, that was coming to the back end of your career, obviously. And the one that, obviously, the last fight, I mean, he did contact me as well. Well, I contacted him first. You fought Billy Bird, didn't you?
Yeah.
And he says to me, passing all the best, he says, it was that long ago, he can't remember much about fight. He says, I hope you can.
Well, I tell you what happened with that. Me and Frank were in the changing rooms. I've met him, the lad said hello to him, and it was for 6 threes. Now, and this is the truth. We're 6 threes. We're lined up. I got paid for 6 threes at Gray's, I think it was. I think it's Carl's show. Anyway, so we're lined up with 6 threes, and Frank's looked at me and he's got the pads in his hand and he started clapping them. Steve 2, bum bum, clapping them. I'm sat there on my phone. Steve 4, bang bang bang, like thunder. And all there is a sheet between the 2 changing rooms, curtain. 6, 6, 6, and he's just stood there banging the pads together with his hands. I'm sat on my phone looking at him. Steve 6, 6, nice, 2, and then he's banging him like thunder. He was for about, I don't know, 3 or 4 minutes. Anyway, Carl's come in the changing rooms about 5 minutes later. Oh, you're not doing 6 threes now, you're doing 6-2. He's not feeling too great. So now whether or not that's a coincidence or not, but yeah, that's what happened. But he was, when we actually got in there, I'm pleased it was a 6-2s because there's a couple of times he hit me. If it was a 3-minute round, there's a couple of times in that I might not have got through it, or it would have been a real tough night. He was nice and slick, strong as well. You know, you get them sometimes. Yeah. Some can bang and the timing's not that great, and some can move and they can't bang. But then you get the people like him who had a bit of everything who could do it. But I don't know who had in my corner for that. Yeah, sorry, Frank. Yeah, so Frank one of the good things with Frank is he liked you to feint. He'd love a feint. So as soon as they plant their feet, you know they're going to unload. Yeah. When they're moving around the toes, the second they plant their feet and the dip, that couple of inches, they're ready to unload. So he'd get me to feint. And the jolt, and by the time they've jolted, then I'm gone. And that Frank was brilliant on that. He used to get me to do that with a couple of lads who I could have had a really, really hard night. But as soon as I planted the feet, boom, I'd feint and move off. And it'd get me out of so much trouble.
Yeah. But that after that then mate, so he'll be happy with that, Billy, remembered that. So obviously in different circumstances then, mate, that was your last fight.
Yeah, I split up. I split with the wife, moved above a pub. Do you know what I mean? Moved above a pub. So the landlord, he helped me out big time and said, look, come stay up here. So I lived there. Obviously, I'm downstairs in the pub. I'm in the town all the time telling everyone I'm a professional boxer. Then you forget, all of a sudden you put on 2 stone, you're not a boxer anymore. I let my licence expire. Your demons. I was just too busy getting drunk. Then I'd stopped it, sorted myself out a bit. I'd kept my hands in it. I did a bit of Thai boxing, teaching kids for a couple of years on another guy's gym. So I was always involved in it, training myself a little bit, but I just couldn't get off the drink. Not mad, not every night, but even at a weekend, it's just never enough. I knew what it took to be at that level that I quit at, and I knew I was never getting to that with what I was doing. So I just blocked it out and did that. And then I stopped drinking last year for 6 months. Never did that, even when I was pro. Even when I had training camps, longest I ever did was 8 weeks. That's why I was boxing at a 2 heavier weight. Yeah, I stopped for 6 months, felt brilliant. And then I started again a little bit stupidly, thought, why have I done that? So I'm back now, Joe, I can have a couple, but anything after 3, that's me. I'm staying out. So I'll just stop myself at 2 now, and then just go. But yeah.
Well, we can go for one after here, can't we? Yeah. I can't have 2. If I have 2, mate, I'm finished anyway, mate. But the good thing is, mate, now we had a good talk about this, and you're in a good place now, mate. You're doing really well, aren't you?
Yeah, like I said earlier, when you're a fighter, we're all cut from the same cloth. We all have these things. I was watching that Tyson Fury documentary, and listening to what he's saying is just like been in my head. My missus says, God, that's just you. Because when you've got them highs of people cheering your name walking to the ring, or not even that, the fear, your body goes into turbo drive. It like sends emotions through that you're not used to. I mean, when you're walking when you're in the changing rooms and you know when you're going to go out for a fight and someone's going to hit you and there's no one stopping him, the referee's there to help you, but they're not going to get involved. And it's a hell of a buzz and a ride, an emotion, a roller coaster. And then when you lose that with boxing, you try to fill the void, like we said earlier. And a lot of people use drink. I use drink. A lot of people go into drugs and they can't find that void because you're searching for feelings again. Mm-hmm. And that's what it is: emotion and feelings. You need that rush. And everyday life, when you're a fighter, it's just not it. You can't do it. I don't care what anyone says. I don't think there's a way fighter who's had over 30 fights, who's ever walked in here, who's gone home, been domesticated and thought, yeah, I'm happy. I don't need anything. And if they are, they're a better man than me, because everyone I know is always searching for that thing again. It eats away at you. You need to compete with yourself. Even if I'd sit in the sauna and I want to get out. So I'll say, right, I'm going to do it for another 5 minutes now and put myself through absolute agony for 5 minutes just because I'm testing myself. It's a strange one. It really is. But it's once you've had them feelings, you feel like you need to compete against yourself all the time. Not all the time, but you need it. You need something to go for, or something to rein you in, or you need that feeling. It's a strange one that I just about master it sometimes, but like I say, I'll go out and I'll get drunk and stuff, but it's a massive void to fill. Like you say, you go from week in, week out, and we mentioned it a few times on here, and like you just said there, I don't think there's any fighter who's had 30 or more, maybe in a couple more, less than that. You know, it's a big void to fill from everything, waiting for that. You know, you're going out, you're running, you're expecting that phone call on a Wednesday, you know, then you're going out and you're working, you're doing what you do, and then all of a sudden it stops. Yeah, it's a massive void to fill. And it's everything. It's everything from knowing you have to train and living by a set of rules. Right, I can't eat that because I've got to make weight. Or best run when you don't want to. And you're doing things your body don't particularly, or your brain don't want you to do, but you still have to do it. And then when you lose that and you've got free reign your entire life and you can do what you want, we always take it to excess, all of us, and we get confused with it, I think, and that's what we do. We end up going the opposite way. We all get massive and fat. We drink too much, or some who's a bit more clued up will start doing marathons and something. There's no getting away from it. If you try and hide it, and don't compete with yourself, and you just think you're all right, I think that's the one you get worse. If you know yourself, right, I need to compete with myself, I need to push myself through this in order for me to be okay, then you cracked it. But if you don't do that, like Tyson Fury in that documentary of his, you've got nothing to go for, and then you do everything in excess. That's what I think. That's how I am as well. I'm everything or nothing. I can't just go out for a few. So when I've got my head on and I'll train, and it's all I'll think about all day. I'll be there daydreaming, laying bricks, thinking about fighting. But if I ain't got that, I'll start thinking about weird, horrible stuff, and I could mentally dismantle my own head in an hour, and then I'd want to go to the pub because I'd be in a bad mood. It's just crazy. It really is.
Yeah, it's tough mentally. Must draining at times, mate. But it's good to see you doing well. Well, got your daughter moved in, aren't you, soon?
Yeah, got a little house renting next week. She's 12 now. She's decided she wants to come live with me. So I've got a sofa bed and that for her. But she's got a little bit of autism, bless her. And you would never know, except for she needs routine. And she loves routine. And then my missus says to me, well, that's just you. Yeah. You know what I mean? Without even realising it, you need your routine. So we've got a plan set up. She's just joining a kids class in a local gym. And I'll go hit the bags at the same time, and that'll keep me out of the pub, do you know what I mean? Because she won't ever want to sit on her own at home, so it's all going to work out. I'll definitely be fighting again. I just don't know which principle it'll be in or what level it'll be at.
It's great to see things are working out, mate.
Yeah, it's good, mate.
It really is. But mate, before we finish, is anybody want to mention?
I don't know. There's a load of them. I mean, if it weren't
anybody who'll stand, you don't have to.
If it weren't for Carl getting me all them fights and that, then I'd have earned no money. And he was a good manager. He was like a friend. Brilliant he was. And then you got like John Pegg. I mean, what manager and thing he is. He's the one who got me the fight with Paddy and the Midlands. He said, "Oh, sorry about Steve. I'll get you on a show." He used to get me on loads of shows. He's a brilliant lad. Frank Reeves, I don't know if, and his brother Johnny and that, I used to go down Peacocks with them, and he spent a lot of time, like his own free time. I wasn't gonna be. He's got a lad now who's going to fight for good things, and he David Adelaide, is it?
Yes.
So he's got him. So that, you know, he's travelling everything. With me, he's not going to do anything like that. I was fighting for a Midlands, but he used to come down to the gym anyway and train me 3 times a week or twice a week down Peacocks. And he got me boxing lovely. He did, with his footwork. He's a great trainer, and he put a lot of time in. So I'll be, no doubt, if I do start fighting again, I'll be popping down there to see him and do his head in again. I
bet it was a good atmosphere down at Peacocks, wasn't it?
Well, when I first went there, I got absolutely smashed to pieces by this middleweight. I don't know if he was a Russian or Polish lad. I was training with Frank for a couple of months, ready for that fight, and I sparred the same lad again. I hit him with a beautiful right hand, wobbled him all over. We had a great six round spar, good. And his trainer went, "Oh, that's better, mate." So Frank, do you know what I mean? That gym, yeah, everyone buzzes off everyone, and especially Frank. I think he's one of the underrated trainers around because he's fantastic, very articulate about his boxing. Very good, yeah.
Did you have a little time with Dave Colwell as well?
Well, yeah, he didn't train me. I went sparring a few times at his place. He managed me. Yeah, and but that's him who said, like, say, you're fighting too heavy. I'll only manage you if you get below 11 stone. So I had a couple of fights with him. Yeah. I went over and sparred Curtis Woodhouse a few times when Curtis was just fighting for his belt, and he was an animal that way. I think he was good. He was another one. Nothing was stopping him getting them belts. When he gets his head on, he was brilliant. So I think I only went like twice to spar with him with about 3 other people, not my own. It was like robbing in it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, I was going in around, they was going in around. He was far better than us at the time. He was ready for titles.
Well, I think you should be proud of what you've done, mate. And I think there's another chapter coming in the future.
There's definitely something coming, mate. I'm not sure what it's going to be or what I'll be fighting in. I say I'm loving this jiu-jitsu at the minute. Hopefully I'll get my blue belt back end of this year. I'm sure I'll enter a couple of tournaments in that. Same again with MMA. Hopefully I'll get in that. But if I start my legs and that and from the kicks out up to scratch, then I'll stick with the boxing. There's definitely going to be something. I've got a lot of fights still in me. Like I said earlier, I don't go. Oh, you know when it goes. Your timing goes. I'm still sparring now and I feel better than when I was then. And it's not real. Do you know what I mean? It is good. I'm relaxed. My footwork seems better. I've got that air of relaxedness about me now that I never used to have as a kid. You used to stand there and want to rush forward. Now I'm a little bit older. I don't like getting hit as much, maybe. I don't know.
I could tell just by talking to you that you've got the buzz, mate, and things are going really well for you. And it's, I'm really chuffed. And I think it'll be a good thing with your daughter coming down as well. I think she'll keep you in line, mate.
Oh, she will. She's me in a little girl's body. She is. So I'm hoping I know how to tame her and help her out and that and do stuff because she'll keep me on the straight and narrow, like I say, yeah.
Yeah, and I think it'll do you good, that, mate. And I look forward to following the next chapter, will you, mate?
Yes, definitely.
And then we'll get you back in, shall we, mate?
Yeah, hopefully, mate. If I've got a fight all lined up and that and I've shed a couple of stone, I'll come back up and we'll see where things are there.
Let's do it, mate. And if you need anyone in the corner, I'll be in it seconds for you.
Oh, that's it, yeah.
Yeah, you can, yeah. I know it is.
But anyway, mate, it's an absolute pleasure to meet you.
No, thanks for having me, lads.
Thank you, all Steve. The best.
Cheers, mate.
All the best, mate.
Nice
Thank
one.
you.
The Journeyman Cave is produced by James Proud. Music by Ryan Carrier. Special thanks to Rhythm Inc. Studios for hosting. All views expressed are of the guests only. The Journeyman Cave and host bear no responsibility for any opinions given. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter @The Journeyman Cave.